So my name is Yuli.
I'm Alex.
And we are best friends. That's the only way we could figure out how to do this podcast because I don't think I could spend this amount of time with anybody else. So
well, first, what's the podcast called?
What?
Are we getting into the podcast called? What's it
called Living Your Best Life, which is my forever quote of the day. You could be doing the hardest workout. You could literally walk into work crying. You could be drinking the best coffee that's ever been made. Shout out to Dutch Bros. And does not matter what's going on in your life. It's just about having a positive attitude. So you're always living your best life and not getting stuck on like the negatives of the day to day. So yeah, Alex and I have been friends for a really, really long time, like his whole life.
20 years.
Yeah. We thought that we're super passionate about teaching martial arts, and that's what we do. So we're both black belts at Martial Arts USA in Petaluma. And I got started when I was 6, and I've been here for over 20 years now, and I super love it. And most of the time we're either talking about working out, or arguing about some challenge of some sort that one of us came up with. So
yeah, so today, first episode of the podcast, we're kind of just getting into it, little intro to who we are, what we're doing, why we're doing it, and as the months go on, as the weeks go on, and more come out, we're going to dive into kind of life topics, how to live your best life, diving into those life topics, getting some guest people to come on, talk about how we implement all these topics into our lives, and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so we randomly came up with this idea in the middle of a workout. So we work together, eat together, whatever we can possibly fit in our day. If it's anything from having a bad day to cheering each other up, because we've kind of gone through a lot of the similar like qualities and life skills that we've been taught through our martial arts training. So we want to, one, see how other people also utilize it, and then connect with them about how we've utilized it too, not just in our martial arts training, but in our day-to-day lives. So generally when one of us is having an issue, good day, bad day, doesn't matter. We always kind of go to each other and either help each other turn our mindset around to live our best life, or just kind of piece it, take it, break it apart, whatever our issue is, and try to help each other through it. So yeah.
First of all, in all of our episodes, we're going to have a little kind of two truths and a lie type thing. So our first one here, we'll start it off at the beginning of the episode, and at the end of the episode, we'll reveal the true answer, so you have a little bit of time to get to know us and kind of think about it throughout the episode. But our first one, nice and simple, we do Taekwondo. We talked about that. But we've also played other sports. You know, martial artists usually are involved in other sports. So we have 3 different sports here that between the two of us, we have either played 2 of them, but 1 of them we haven't played. So there's 1 sport in these 3 that we haven't played. So if you want to read those off of our sports.
Yeah, so between the 2 of us, did one of us play basketball at some point, water polo, or soccer? So which one do you think is the lie between the 2 of us?
Yeah, so we've played 2 of these 3 sports between the 2 of us.
So for the month of December, we're going to be talking about motivation. So this is a life skill that we have thought would be a good one to kind of start off with. It's something that we teach the kids at Taekwondo. It's something that we've been taught ourselves by our previous instructors.
It's something that comes up a lot as well between the 2 of us.
Yeah, and if you know anything about martial arts, you know that a lot of the basic training stays forever, even through being a black belt, and that there's a lot of repetitive motion over and over and over again, and there are some days you are over it, like you're 100% over doing the same kick over and over and over again. So definitely have to dig deep into coming back to practice and like realizing that there's more to it than just the actual kick itself. So the actual definition is a reason one has for acting or behaving in a particular way.
And that's very vague definition. I think motivation is a lot more than just that, especially for me. I'm sure for as well as you.
Oh, yeah.
Motivation's a lot more than just a reason. Like finding motivation and finding what works for you is different for everybody. And like finding that internal motivation and stuff like that is kind of what we want to get into this week for sure.
I will say that I feel like it definitely is something that everyone really needs to work on in the day-to-day. It could be something from like a super small goal, like anyone who knows me knows I don't like getting up in the morning. And even laying in bed, I have to like, is it coffee that's going to get me up? Is it the activity? Like this morning, the simplest thing is I knew I had to get an oil change, and I just laid in bed, and I was like, I need to go do this, because I knew it was going to be time consuming, and I wanted to get the rest of my day going. But it could also be long term too, of like, you know, whether it be as a kid and wanting to accomplish something, whether it could be as an adult, like with schooling or a job or per se. But I definitely feel it more so now that it's getting colder, and I want to be in bed longer. Through the holidays too, you know, you don't want to go to work. You just want to go look at Christmas lights and, I don't know, go hang out with your family and friends and not go do the responsibilities that you're required to do.
Yeah. I think the easiest way to get into this is just start going. Like, what motivates? Let's start with you. What motivates you? What do you find that works to help kind of get you going? Especially, I mean, talking about mornings, you don't like mornings, but obviously you're here some mornings, you know, we're getting up early, we're doing stuff. Like, what gets you out of bed? What gets you motivated to go throughout just your everyday life?
I definitely am motivated by not letting people down. So I think success is an interesting word, because a lot of people think of it as like a monetary thing, or for me, it's like, it's a feeling of feeling successful. So whether it's I got up and got my house clean, whether it's I got up and made sure my workout crew, you know, made it to their workout, because there's a lot of times where even if I don't make it, then the rest of the crew doesn't make it. So just kind of feeling good. Like, I just want to feel good at the end of the day, whether it be I did 1 task or 10 tasks. But I definitely like thinking about what motivate people in general is normally like a money thing, and I feel like I'm not, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like to like pay my bills and like go do stuff, but at the same time, at the end of the day, like, I don't want people around me to feel intimidated or like pushed away or like negative or like criticized. And
yeah, I think the biggest thing for me for motivation is that like I need to like put it out in the world. I have a hard time, this is something for me, and I know a lot of people I'm sure experience this as well, but I have a hard time like internally like motivating myself. Like, I'll wake up and lay in bed for a half an hour, and if I have nothing to do, there's days like on a Sunday where I have stuff that I probably need to get done, but I'm just gonna lay in bed all day because I have that hard time like internally motivating for myself. But for me, the way as I kind of get around that is I'll express it to somebody else. Like, and one of my biggest things is I do go to you, and I'll be like, hey, I gotta do this today, and she'll keep me on track. Like, she'll help motivate me.
My comments are not nice either. It's like, hey, get it together. I'm definitely like straightforward too about stuff like that, and like when I need to be motivated, like same thing, he already knows, like I don't need a pat on the back and I don't need any of that. Like, I literally need you to throw it in my face as to what I'm supposed to be doing, and I need to get it done. So I think definitely too, like as the holidays come around, it's definitely harder to like find the motivation with the weather change. Because if it's not sunning out and it's raining, like nobody wants to get out of bed whatsoever. So like the simplest thing is that I bought this beanie over the weekend, and I was so excited to wear it today, even though I just want to lay in bed and not go get my oil change. But I was like, ooh, okay, one thing I get to do today is I know Alex is bringing me coffee at some point, and 2, I get to wear my new beanie. So even the smallest things are kind of important.
And I think it's important to find that for yourself, because nobody can tell you how to be motivated. Nobody can tell you like what to do necessarily. Like in getting motivated, you kind of have to play around with that and take strategies from other people, and something might not work for you. You know, me coming up to you and telling you you have to do this, you have to do this, it might do the opposite of helping for some people.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really important to kind of find what works for you and what motivates you by using strategies that you've heard from other people. And one great thing I think too about this podcast that we're doing is that we are going to have outside opinions, because obviously what works for us might not work for other people.
Well, I think one part of that too is like, so I think one of the hardest parts of continuing martial arts as you get older is that it does become a job for us, and it's not our day-to-day training. So staying in shape to show moves correctly or properly, and to stay in good stamina and endurance and all of that, to make sure that, you know, when we do have to like spar the other kids and help them out, that we're not winded. And one thing that works, I know for us, you're kind of like both ways, but I for sure am not doing any workout before like noon. I cannot do it. And I also don't like working out by myself. Like, am not. I think the only thing I may be able to do is go on a run by myself, but even then I don't like running.
Yeah.
So even then, like,
I hate working out by
yeah.
myself.
So we started like a little workout thing, and then it turned into 3 people, and then 4 people, and then 5. And the cool part about it is that even if 2 people, you know, cancel on you, which happens because everyone's got jobs or kids or whatever. I mean, our workout crew is like all ages, all over the place in our lifestyles and stuff. But you know, there's always someone there. And so when I started it with one person, because Alex was gone for college for a while, that even having the one person quit on me or me cancel, like, then we both lose out on it. So having to really realize that we need more than one person there.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, one of the most important things I think for motivation too is setting a goal. Like, why are you motivated? Why do you need to be motivated? Basically, like, what are you trying to go towards? Like, what is that goal? So if you set that goal at first, like, you have an end place that you want to be, and that, I feel like, kind of motivates you to get there. Like, if, you know, you're not going to be motivated if you don't know what you want to do. Yeah. You have to figure out what you want to do first. Like, what are you looking for motivation in? Do you want to get in better shape? Do you want to get a better job? Do you want to get that promotion? And, like, you set that goal for yourself, and then once you have that goal, you can kind of look for those motivation strategies and look for what's going to help you get to that goal.
The other part of that too is, like, maybe you don't have a goal for yourself, but you want to watch other people get motivated, because I find myself in that situation too. Like, even in our workout crew, like, we have guys that don't really care to be in shape, but, like, they show up for us knowing that we have goals that we have set for ourselves, and they just want to be a part of it, and help motivating. And then in turn, you know, turns out that, like, one of our buddies ends up getting a job, or, you know, like, they start kind of being around motivating people too, and then realize that they're motivating us while we're motivating them, and it's not even a discussed thing. It just kind of happens that way.
Yeah, I mean, we started as a workout crew, and one of the literally Blaine got a job because we were on him so much that he was motivated to do that.
That's the part of it, is that, and even the days you don't want to show up, or you don't want to adult or whatever. And I think it's super important for, like, kids and stuff to know too, that even, like, we are both in 2 different settings to get schoolwork done. Well, personal training certification for me, and then some school stuff for him, and motivating each other to even sit and do our homework. Like, it is totally possible to have study groups where you're doing totally different things and just making sure that the other one is sitting there and getting it done. And, you know, but it is okay to chit chat or whatever, and then we chit chat, and then we're like, all right, cool, stop talking, like, get it done. And then you'll be reading and something else comes to mind, but it's just remembering to keep it going.
I think the easiest way to kind of get into, like, motivation and talk about it is to give some stories about a time in your life when you maybe weren't motivated, and how you found that motivation to push through and get to what you needed to do.
Okay, so I, after high school, was, like, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and so I happened to take, like, a chem class and kind of like it, but I was trying to just figure out what I was doing. So I decided to go get a chem degree, which most people are like, oh, okay, like, 1, why would you do that? And 2, you don't seem like the type to get a chem degree. So, like, my mom would always joke that I was like Penny from The Big Bang Theory, because I, like, didn't know what was, like, ever going on. So I went to the JC, and, like, that was fine. And then when I got into Sonoma State, I just know that there's, like, a lot more pressure to, like, do good. So I was super intimidated, but still wasn't really pushing myself, and, like, didn't really know, like, why I was there. And I had this teacher who, the class he taught was chemistry, physics, and calculus all in one, so it was, like, super hard. And rather than, like, being more motivated to, like, study and stuff, I just took it as, like, really intimidating and, like, didn't really push myself. And then one day I decided, and the teacher itself was, like, super intimidating, so I went in one day to, like, ask questions and try to figure out what I could do to get a better grade. And he smacked me on the back of the head and was like, "You're lazy." And I took that as super, like, I don't know, just, like, took it super personally. And if you know me, like, it's not the word to describe me, maybe, like, feisty, or I don't know, anything but lazy is what I would consider myself. So I took that as, like, a super moment to, like, prove myself, and, like, that's what kind of motivated me to, like, keep trying in the class and, like, do the extra work and push myself. And so when it came down for the very last test, I had like kind of like a B in the class and was, like, pushing but not super about it. And after he called me lazy, I definitely took it to the next step, and I did that test for 48 hours straight, and it ended up being a take home, which was really nice. And we, like, studied and studied and studied, and every time you were given a problem, every time we looked at our peers, they were all, like, different. So, like, one person had 10 degrees warmer and one person had 10 degrees cooler, which changed the whole way you did each problem. And like for 48 hours, there were 6 questions that you had to answer. And I just drank coffee and ate rotisserie chicken the entire time. And was super like down about it and just kept like asking myself like, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep doing this? Like I wasn't even really into chemistry. And was super like felt really inferior to the other people in my class, like knowing that they knew like way more about chemistry than I did.
Yeah.
So, but really thinking about him calling me lazy, which had nothing to do with how much I could absorb chemistry or not. So after taking the test and staying up for days and like just going over each problem and trying to like take in what I could, when it was time to actually go turn the test in, I fell asleep in the hallway of his office, and he literally came over and kicked me and then ripped the test out of my hands. And when it was time to like get our test grades, I cried because I got the highest test score at like a 97 or 98.
Yeah.
And I really don't think that I really pushed myself that much in the class without him like literally just like
you can
stepping on me.
That motivation came from trying to prove somebody else wrong and
and sometimes
prove who you were.
And sometimes like I definitely like, you would think that getting the good grade would have motivated me to like get a good grade in the class, but it's funny that was not in that case. Whereas everyone else just wanted the A, and I
just wanted to prove
yeah.
Yeah.
So.
No, I mean that's a great story. I think like it kind of like you're trying to prove someone else wrong. Like prove who you are is one great thing. Like when you know who you are, like finding motivation when people doubt you, like pushing through, and that's a big thing in motivation. And that kind of leads into my story that I want to talk about, because it's something that I'm still working on. So yours is like a story from the past. Mine is obviously we started rock climbing. I go rock climbing on every Monday, and we're like pushing past, and there's the obstacles and stuff, and I want to keep moving up. So like we're on the zeros, we can do the zeros, but we haven't been able to finish like any of the ones, and motivating myself to. Okay, how are we gonna? Okay.
Oh, I was gonna say, started off with like that your goals to get in shape, and like you were trying weightlifting, we tried running, we tried like normal workouts, and so we decided to rock climb. And in rock climbing, you found ways to motivate yourself to get into better shape and challenge yourself because of all this.
Because there's a physical goal, like
yeah.
All right.
So what do you think is probably one that like sticks out?
One that sticks out for me is like I want to get in better shape and kind of improve that. And for me, I don't care about like the number on the scale or any of that. It's mainly like I just want to be functionally in shape. Like I'm going into being like a firefighter and an EMT and stuff like that, where you need to be in good shape. And I find a hard time like finding goals to set, because I don't really know how do you define like being in shape. How do you set those goals?
Especially if a weight loss is not
it's like I don't care about like I said, I don't care about the weight loss. I don't necessarily care fully about like the aesthetic or anything like that. It's mainly just like being in shape, and it was hard for me to find goals on that. Like we were working out, tried lifting, we do like cardio, and we still do all that stuff, but one way that I really found motivation is that we started going rock climbing on Mondays. And like there's set goals in there that you start with, like there's like rated systems, like there's a 0 and then it goes to 1, and I think it goes like all the way to like 12 or 13 or something at this place. And I think that kind of gives me a set goal, something I can set my target to where now I have a way of defining, like being in shape, if that makes sense. Like I can get through all the 0s, but we're still struggling with like the 1s, and it's kind of a tiered like step system for me. And I think that's where I find my motivation is I know like, oh, if I want to get to this 1, I need to get 1, I need to get stronger, and I do maybe need to lose like a little bit of weight to make myself lighter and like improve on that rock climbing. And it sets goals for me. Like I know where I want to be, and I see myself not in that spot yet, but I have an idea and I can see myself improving. Like when we first started, we couldn't finish any of them, or like maybe the easiest of 0s, and now we can finish all the 0s, and like now we're working on 1s. And when I start to see myself getting a couple 1s, you start to see that improvement, and that kind of keeps me going, because like seeing small goals being met help me keep working towards the large one. Because I think if I were to just set, I want to climb a 10, that's or you're gonna be defeated. You're gonna like put yourself down. And I think like for me, setting those small goals helps me visualize that I'm actually improving. Because a
Mhm.
lot of people will set like the end goal of, oh, I want to be 150 pounds, or oh, I want to
Mhm.
lose 100 pounds or whatever. And like it gets demoralizing when you see, oh, maybe I only lost 1 pound this week or whatever it may be for you. Like if you set a big goal, it's always good to have a big end goal, but I think setting small goals helps for like that's what helps for me is like I can see that improvement as I go throughout the process rather than just like the big goal. Like when you're working out and you're losing weight, you don't necessarily see it changing because you see yourself every day. Whereas if you set those small goals, like this is where I want to be, I want to climb the 1 next, and then once I hit that, maybe it'll be get all the 1s, and then you start to see those goals improve. You start to see like that you are doing better, and that motivates me internally, that I can see the progress that I'm going through.
How do you think, like, so like let's say like I've watched you too, like just for viewers and stuff, like so let's say you're going through those V0s and you get to a point where you're not making like progress on a V0 or a V1 or whatever, like how do you find, like, rather than just going home and washing your hands and being done, like how do you find motivation to like try it again or do it again? Or
I mean, one big thing I see is like if I see like when I'm going with a bunch of other people, they're getting it or they're moving farther than me, it kind of it like lights that fire inside of me where I'm like, I want to do that. And so I kind of will study like what they're doing. I'll watch the movements and like see. And I think the motivation is like, I think it's just honestly like it gets demoralizing, it gets hard, and there have been times when I haven't been able to complete a wall and I end up going home without completing that wall or without completing that course. And it is like, it's a defeating thing, but like I can go again. Like I get another shot, and sometimes you're so tired you can't, like your body physically won't let you hold on any longer. But I think like it's a mental game for sure, and like you gotta inside and realize like if other people can do this, I can do this. Yeah. Like there's no reason I can't do it. Maybe I'm too tired today or my muscles like can't go, but I'm gonna recover. I'm gonna come back, and my motivation, my next, like I have a wall. That one wall, like I know what I want to get, and like you think about it, and that's my motivation. Like that's where I'm moving to.
What do you think, like why would rock climbing be like the one that motivates you instead of like swimming or like going back to basketball, which you were playing before, as opposed to like taekwondo? Like what is there anything that like specifically you think that that sport motivates you? Or
I think it's something new. I think I'm a person that I like a lot of different things. I do a lot in my everyday life, and it's something new that I can set goals to. Like as a black belt, I do have goals to move on to my next degree and stuff like that. But rock climbing is something I know very little about. I don't know the techniques fully yet, and so it's new and it's exciting. I think that's what's kind of leading me there. Is it's something that's exciting and new that I'm doing with my friends. That it's a full body thing. Like I walk out every day with my whole body being sore, whereas everything is sore, and it's new muscles. Like you don't necessarily use your grip strength in your everyday life because it doesn't take a lot of grip strength to drink a water or but when you're climbing, like
which you're using climb ladders, you could do any of that at some point.
You're using those forearms, you're using muscles that you never see, and so it's like you feel progress as well. Like not only seeing it, like I start to feel like sore, and I like that feeling like of being sore and like feeling like I'm working. And I think that like something new, like finding something new when you've kind of gone through a lot, you get
the same
tired out. Yeah. All right. I think that was good. Like we both kind of got into our stories. We got a little intro into what it is. As the month goes on, we're going to continue to dive into this a little bit more. Maybe have some guest speakers on this month. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, I would say like what I would take for motivation is definitely like dig deep into yourself and like figure out what motivates you, and if there is nothing that motivates you, like figure out what's stopping you from being motivated. If it's the people, is it the structure of what's going on, is it you like to be praised, you like to be critiqued, you like people to be around, like in your sense of like there's little baby steps there. For me, it was like proving someone wrong. Like, what is it that motivates you?
Yeah, I think it's really important to find, because everybody's different. Some people like to do stuff by themselves. Some people need other people. And I think it's really important to learn about yourself. Like, nobody can tell you how to be motivated. Yeah, you kind of have to figure that out yourself. What does motivate you? And I think that'll come the more you try, the different things you try out. And eventually you'll kind of figure out, this works for me. And that's how you're going to move on with it.
So you're probably wondering what our two truth and a lie answer is. So the original question was what sport did we not play between the two of us? So we had basketball, we had water polo, and we had soccer. So your sport was?
I think it's pretty easy to know. Basketball, we kind of talked about that a little bit. Mentioned it for a little second.
And mine was actually water polo. A lot of people would think that like soccer is like the team sport to play. But I had some family members that jumped in on like a recreation water polo team when I was like in middle school and like early ages of high school, and it was super fun because it was like taekwondo, kind of like in the water, and like you just like beat on people and like throw a ball around and like so that was super cool. And it's like it helped me like especially with tournaments and stuff too, like cardio based. It was like super hard. So the lie was soccer. Neither one of us played soccer while we were doing taekwondo as kids. But we did want to kind of wrap up and throw some things out there for you to think about for next time, just to kind of keep in mind as we continue through the month talking about motivation. So one would be what kind of motivates you on the daily basis, what motivates you long term, and if there's any situation where you could have been motivated or should have been motivated, what was it that stopped you, and kind of reflect on like what you could have done about it to change it or stuff like that.
So those are some questions to take home. We are going to put in the description the Instagram to our podcast if you want to reach out to us on there. Maybe share your stories, share sometimes that you were down or you didn't feel motivated, and kind of how you pushed through that, how you found your motivation. And we'll be looking through that. We might add some answers, at the beginning of our next show.
Just a reminder, look out for next time. We're going to have a guest speaker. It's going to be a fellow black belt or instructor for our next one, and kind of just see what they have to say. So,
and always remember,
live your best life.